Hey, what's up YouTube? It's your boy Sean here again, back. Sean's Rabbitry and Aquaponic produce, and we're back with a brand new rabbit video, our first for 2020. Now we're gonna pick things up right where we left off in 2019. Now last year we did a video called Selling More Rabbits. If you haven't seen that video, you should definitely go look at that one before looking at this one, because we're going to be following on from there. I will leave the link for that in the description below, so check that video out and then get back to me. Now, if you've already seen that video, then going forward, in that video we spoke about the retail pricing of our rabbit meat to be competitive in the market. We also concluded that the best way to reduce our retail cost was to reduce our overall production cost. Now, if that's something that interests you, then stay tuned, because we'll be coming right back with more on this topic after the intro. Okay, so today we're looking at reducing our overall production cost as a way of influencing our final retail price. Now, if you have, let's say, a small setup, a backyard setup, a backyard rabbitry where you're just probably doing a few rabbits, I mean, there are a lot of things you could do that would reduce your production cost, but not all of it would necessarily be applicable on a commercial scale, right? Now, we've spoken to a lot of farmers, and the general consensus is that their number one production cost is the purchasing of commercial pelleted feeds. Now, on a small scale, you could reduce your feed cost obviously by feeding forages. Right now, here in Trinidad and Tobago, we feed a lot of forages as well. In our case, in this case, right, this is Trichantera. This is forage that is grown a lot here in Trinidad and Tobago to feed livestock in general, but rabbits tend to love it. Now, if you are feeding the right forages in the required quantities, it may be possible to reduce your feed costs by as much as 50% without negatively affecting production. But on a commercial scale, this will be difficult to replicate, because first of all, you're going to need large parcels of land to grow all these forages. Then you also have to take into account the area that you live in. If you have seasonal climates that may not necessarily allow you to grow forages year-round, then it will be difficult to maintain it in sufficient supply to keep your production at the same level. And something else to consider as well with forages is the amount of wastage. Okay, so when feed is pelletized, you generally have less wastage. Now, if you're feeding forages, anyone who feeds forages, especially if you have cages with wire floors, I'm sure you would have noticed that a significant amount of the forage ends up on the ground below the cage. Now, a good thing to do would probably be to get this same forage pelletized, but of course that would involve doing some research as well as purchasing necessary equipment to have it done efficiently. And since we're talking about pelletizing of feed, we could probably even take it a step further and look at completely replacing the commercial pellet by formulating our own feeds. Right now, this is an idea that has been tossed around by local farmers here for a while now, but no one has actually put it into practice as yet. But I know there are people who are experimenting with it, so pretty soon we may have a solution to that problem. Now, the commercially available feeds that we have on the market right now, the major complaints that you would usually hear from people are One, it's just too expensive. Secondly, the nutritional content could be better. Most people think that it's not sufficient to profitably support commercial production. And something that a lot of farmers have complained about as well is that there's too much dust in the feed. Now, most of the feed that we get here, sometimes you could lose as much as 20% of the feed due to dust. And if you're into rabbit rearing, you know that the rabbits don't eat the dust, so that is just wastage and money going down the drain. So that is something definitely we need to probably try and liaise with the feed companies to find out if there's anything they could do to improve their process to provide us with a better product. So it would be really beneficial if you could affordably produce your own feed. But like I said before, you would have to invest in some equipment, as well as you would need to do a certain amount of research and you're formulating your feed to ensure that it's properly balanced to be able to potentially outperform the feeds that are already commercially available on the markets. So there's a lot of work that has to go into that. Of course, some controlled trials would have to be run in order to evaluate the success of that product. Who knows, if the formulation is successful, then you might be on to a brand new business idea, as well as you'll be able to provide some needed competition to the existing companies to force them to create a better product. That's something to think about. Now, another way to reduce your production cost is to improve what's known as your feed conversion ratio. Now, this is a topic that we have an entirely separate video planned on, so you guys definitely look out for that. But for today, in a nutshell, what we're talking about is your feed conversion ratio being simply the amount of feed that a rabbit has to consume in order to gain a certain amount of weight. To calculate the feed conversion ratio for your farm, 3 things are important. Number 1 is record keeping. Now again, this topic keeps coming up. Record keeping is so important. Okay, we're going to be doing a video on record keeping coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. The second thing is weighing your rabbits. Now, if you follow our channel, you know that recently we did a video on weighing rabbits. Right? Weighing your rabbits is so important. If you're new here and you haven't seen that video yet, then you definitely need to check that out. I'll leave the link in the description below. And then the third thing, obviously, is that you need to keep track of the amount of feed that you're feeding to each rabbit. That's the only way you're going to know what their conversion rate is. Now, the feed conversion rate is calculated by dividing the weight of feed that the rabbit would have consumed by the weight that the rabbit gained up to the time of culling. So if your rabbit weighs 5 pounds when you're ready to cull it, and from the time between kindling and culling, it would have consumed 20 pounds of feed, then 20 divided by 5 is 4. So your feed conversion rate is 4. So it means that for every 4 pounds of feed that the rabbit consumes, he gains 1 pound of meat. Likewise, if the same 5-pound rabbit had consumed 25 pounds of feed, then 25 pounds divided by 5 pounds will give you 5. So in that case, your feed conversion ratio would have been 5, meaning that every 5 pounds of feed that the rabbit ate, he gained 1 pound of meat. So guys, the smaller you can get this number is the better. So you're aiming for the smallest feed conversion rate as possible to optimize production. Alright guys, I hope you understood that. If you didn't, you could play it back, write it down. It's very simple. check it out. Let me know in the comments what your feed conversion rate is, and we could do some comparisons, and probably we could all discuss how we could collectively reduce our feed conversion rate. Now guys, let's recap. We're talking about feed conversion ratio, and without saying too much, there are also some external factors that may affect each person's individual feed conversion ratio on their farm. Right? There are things like heat, high temperatures. We know that high temperatures normally affects performance of rabbits. This is something that will affect how your rabbits eat and process their feed. We also have things like stress. Now, there are different types of stresses that rabbits can go through. All stress, more or less, is bad for rabbits, right? We know that it leads to a lot of intestinal problems, which affects their digestion and leads to diarrhea and things like that. And all of that tends to slow down their performance and their growth. So you want to try as much as possible to mitigate the effect that these external factors have on your feed conversion ratio. But internally, your feed conversion ratio will be influenced by a number of things. One, the nutritional quality of the feed that you have access to in your area. Two, the quantity of feed that is being fed to your rabbits daily. And three, good genetics. So to wrap up, in order to reduce your feed conversion ratio, it's usually a combination of good genetics coupled with good quality feed that's fed in the correct amounts. And that is one of the major ways that you could try and impact your final end production cost. Guys, I hope this video is useful to you guys. I hope that you understood the information. I'm glad to have you guys here with us every Monday. We thank you for the support. We look forward to seeing you every single week here in 2020 as we go forward to try and make the rabbit industry a stronger force in Trinidad and Tobago and the rest of the world by extension. So again, guys, thanks for watching. This is Sean Austin on behalf of my business partner Sean McLean. We thank you guys, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Oh, just a little side note. Okay, well, you guys know that we mostly do artificial insemination, so we breed in batches, mostly batches of 15 and 20 thereabout. Okay, and from the last batch we had a very good success rate, very good conception rate, that is. So we have approximately 19 does that are due to kindle between today and tomorrow. Okay, so let me just give you guys a quick peep on what's going on here. As you see, all the red boxes there, they are those that are due to kindle in the next day or two. Okay, that's this section. We have this section up here. We have those up here. We come down here, we have a couple more on this side. I'll take you over on this side. We have a couple more, a few more here due to kindle. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed that mini or micro tour that I gave you there. We'll do a full Rabbitry tour sometime coming up soon. Alright guys, get your does bred. In fact, your does should have already been bred, because I mean, Carnival is just around the corner. It's another peak season for rabbit meat sales. So if you guys have rabbits that are already weaned, you should be just working on fattening now, because the Carnival season is definitely going to call for a lot of sales. So guys, again, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. See you guys in the next video.